All right, Mina, next one for you, which is from Jill in Shave. I'm not sure what that is, Jill, but anyway, thank you for the question. Jill asks, do you think Daniel Maldini should move on loan from Milan as he isn't getting any game time? Mina, what do you think?
No, I don't think so. I know that a lot of people think that when youngsters are trying to find space, whether or not it's a question of moving on or not. It obviously depends on what you can provide a team, and at others when they are really not finding the space, then it's a good moment to go. But Brahim Diaz was sort of the number two, I felt, to Çalhanoğlu, and now Maldini is the number two to Brahim Diaz. But for me, I thought it was interesting when Giroud was talking recently in an interview, and they were talking about players that he's been impressed by. And he actually did mention Daniel Maldini and talked about him as somebody that, he's interesting to watch. I think he offers a difference in skill to what we're seeing from the rest of the team. He's young, so there shouldn't be too much pressure applied to him, but he is in a club that is one that is so deeply rooted to his family's history. His father is a director. So despite there being pressure, he actually feels a home there. And it's such a close tie that he's somebody that I feel will probably be a little bit like a Francesco Totti or Del Piero's. Like, I've got to make it in this team. I don't want to have to move somewhere else to prove myself. At least this is just me assuming this, so I don't know. But I do believe that he will be given his chances, because if there's any coach that I would want to help me with my progression, it would be Stefano Pioli. And he's talked about the fact that Pioli comes so often and speaks to him. He calls him up. He tells him tips of what to do, how to train. And he feels very close to him that he can call up his coach and ask for advice. Am I going to be played here? What should I do here? How can I affect the game in a different way? And having that kind of relationship with a coach is really important. And there are so many that simply would love to have it. So if you do have that, don't take it for granted, because I really do think sometimes football is changing. And when you are a team like Milan that has to win at all times, having the ability to be a winner as well as working for a coach who has the time to talk to you all the time is something that I would do everything in my power to keep.
Yeah, I think it's a really great point. We've talked so much in the podcast about Pioli's man management and how that's his great asset, and why wouldn't you want to be around that? I have two cousins who played professionally and were in the youth team at Inter, and very different experiences, but certainly one of them who went on to do a number of loan moves, and I really got a very sort of first-hand accounting through that of some of the frustrations that can happen when you end up going on loan somewhere and that situation turns out not to be what you hope it is, because a manager who was there when you go somewhere on loan ends up losing their job after 2 weeks or something like that. There were some situations like that. And then you end up with a new manager who isn't interested in you, who doesn't know how to use you or wants you to do something different. I think you have to be very thoughtful if you're a young footballer about those opportunities. Now, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be some, because undoubtedly there would be situations for Daniel Maldini where he could go and play more than he is right now. That's certainly true. Yeah. And if you're really sort of thoughtful in picking your loan move, I'm sure you could pick one where there's some stability, but certainly at Milan, that there is a huge amount of stability and a manager who is good at working with young players. But the one counterpoint that I would give, and this would be the argument for doing it, I'll say first of all, I'm fairly certain Maldini did turn down a loan move in the summer. I think there was an opportunity for him within Serie A and he didn't take it. The counterpoint is, just because of his name, he's under a degree of scrutiny anyway, but even more so while he's at Milan, that is way beyond what anyone else is facing. And, he did come off the bench in both of the Champions League games against Porto. And right at the end of the home game, he actually ends up taking a corner, and it was a horrible corner at a time when Milan were chasing that goal to win the game. And you got all of this sort of internet reaction to that. Shouldn't be being given this responsibility, shouldn't be the one kicking that most important corner at the end of a game. And I think that is a level of pressure and scrutiny that he's going to get at Milan that perhaps he wouldn't if he was at just to pull a name out of the hat, Spezia. I mean, I'm not suggesting Spezia as a destination. I don't know if that's a club that we're linked to.
Yeah.
Just first one that came into my head. So that there is another side to that coin. And I think if there was another team in Serie A who were someone who you felt really good about the management of, you know, if it was Igor Tudor at Verona and you're thinking he's not going anywhere for a while, that's something stable, then maybe I would feel differently about it. But at the same time, I can definitely see benefits to staying where he is.
Well, you can choose that last Verona, but maybe I want Igor Tudor to be our next coach. And then what are you going to do?